Cool, lovely, right. Okay, so cinematics in Unity. As I said before, as I started before this recording, we're going to look at cinematics in Unity. It's something that I used to teach but haven't taught in a very long time. And in order to look at cinematics, we need to look at timeline in Cinemachine. So we've looked at little bits of them over the last 3 years, just in tiny little bits. But today we're going to start a kind of the next couple of weeks, like an intensive, comprehensive look to see how they can help us out throughout our game making process. So if we have a look at this, we can see what can timeline be used for, and this is Cinemachine as well, but mostly timeline controls a lot of these things, and as we know, Cinemachine is just the cameras and what they can focus in on. Okay, so what I'll do is with the tasks and challenges today for the workshop that we have, I'll update this and then I'll upload this to the Discord a bit later. So cutscene animations. So anything that's in a cutscene that's not within gameplay can be animated and can be controlled within timeline. We can also animate multiple game objects, and we'll be doing that today as well, just with simple primitives, but you'll get the basics today within this session. So we can have a timeline, we can have multiple animations going on at one time that are a lot easier and easier to see and easier to control because they'll all be on one timeline. So a little bit like Photoshop, a little bit like After Effects in that retrospect. And we can also trigger cutscenes and gameplay. So I think this is probably going to be the most interesting thing. I can show you an example on the next slide, but for example, hopefully we'll get to triggering cutscenes and gameplay today. So usually I would teach this over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to try and teach this all in 2 weeks with you guys. So as a bit of an intensive. So we're going to get to triggering cutscenes today, where we're going to press an input key on our keyboard with a simple one line of code to activate something. And then that will activate our timeline and our cutscene and animations as well. We can also load new scenes. So where we could usually kind of hard code loading scene and maybe going to system or using Unity Engine scene manager and things like that. You don't have to do that. You can actually do that without code, and you can use it with using timeline, which is really, really useful. So anything without code, I'm thinking, right, teach you guys, you'll find it really nice and useful. So and also we can create fades because it's a timeline. And as I said, it's like Premiere Pro, so it's like editing video or editing animations. We could fade one scene into another, so it fades to black and fades out again and goes into a brand new scene instead of knowing how to code that all or adding another animation of a fade and then trying to add that animation in. We can do it all within timeline, which is really, really handy to know. And then obviously gameplay cutscenes as well. So for gameplay cutscenes, I've got this example here. So Ocarina of Time, Zelda chest opening. I think I have that here. There we go. So if I press play on this. Lovely. So from this, we can see that we have the chest opening animation as well as the Zelda character. But what's most important is that the Cinemachine camera's rotating round as well. It's starting in an area because obviously this has turned to cutscene, because if this was gameplay, this would look very, very weird. So it's obviously changed to cutscene within timeline. We then have the music start playing as well that's building up. So audio can also be controlled within our cutscenes, which we'll also be doing today, which I forgot to put in that list, which I'll add. So we have the audio, we have the camera slowly rotating, we then have our character that's got this standard animation to open the chest. So the chest opening will also be a separate animation from the character, as well as the audio. We then have the particle system, which we'll again be doing today as well. We look at another thing I should add to this list. I'm good at doing PowerPoints, aren't I? We'll look at how to activate particle systems as well as we go. Then we have the character again, so we have a set animation. And what we'll be able to see is even if we have three different animations, we'll be able to blend them together as well by using timeline. So we don't have to go to Animator to animate different things for our character. So if we're thinking about movement or things that we can do through input, that will work all through Animator. Anything to do with a cutscene can all go into timeline. So this is why Unity do it. So everything within the cinematic can all go in one place, and everything to do with movement and input for the player and actual gameplay can live in the Animator. So in two separate areas. And as we go through this, we can then activate items as well. So in all honesty, that object could always be floating there above that chest, and until you hit the trigger, go through the animation, and then we can activate and deactivate items and objects, which we'll also be doing today as well using timeline. To see if there's anything else. We can also, again, this is a game object, so any game object essentially can be controlled within timeline, okay, with it being a cinematic, which is really important to know. So I've seen some of you have got some notes. Really good to take some notes today on this, because really you'll be sort of cut your nose off to spite your face, because everything, loads of different things can be controlled without code, just using timeline, which is really, really handy. So we can even have UI text as well, because it can be a game object. And then obviously we had the spinning of the sword at the end here as well, which can be also added as a cinematic. So all of that can be controlled and taken off into timeline. Lovely. So I'll remember what I've said a bit later. I can't remember what I say. I said, oh yeah, audio tracks. Audio, yeah, audio tracks. And particle systems. But really brackets all game objects. Actually, what I can do, I'll do it under here. I can say oh dear. All game objects in hierarchy can be controlled using timeline. Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Unity. I'm going to go to new project. Oh, it's looking for a folder that doesn't exist at the moment. If I go to 3D Core, let's just change this to my documents. If you've got any old things, delete them. If you're running out of C drive stuff, and then I'm just going to call this cinematics, because we can add loads of different things here. If I can learn to spell, there we go, cinematics, click create. Lovely. So obviously I can, it's classic when the recording's happening, I can only think of one thing of the Zelda chest opening, but there's probably other things where it's a collectible or there's a cutscene. Obviously there's standard cutscenes where you go into or being given a quest or an objective or something like that. We can also blend Mixamo animations, so it doesn't have to be just animations that we control or create within Unity. And I'll show you how to do that. Hopefully this doesn't take forever. I'm worried about that little green bar not doing anything now. And this video is going to be about 15,000 years long because everyone's waiting for this green bar.
It took me over half an hour yesterday to open up that HDRP.
Is that for your hard drive though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it will do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, literally load it up on HDRP for a hard drive and then walk away from it.
Yeah, that's what I've done.
Yeah. Go and get a coffee.
That's the thing. I came back. I was like, it hasn't moved, and it was like 20 minutes. So I was like,
It doesn't like being put on hard drives.
No.
Or external hard drives, especially HDRP.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Let's go with the HDRP stuff. What I've done is I did recently upload a video. This will be in the recording. I don't care. And
in terms of like seamless transitions,
yeah,
like, is that something? I'm assuming that's something you can also do with like timelines. So obviously,
yeah,
you know, like old school cutscenes, it would be like black screen, and it would like, you know, you'd see the transition.
Yeah, but you can create fades and everything. I'll show you how to do that today.
Cool. Just for like almost like graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of recording like a really comprehensive HDRP video, and then I found this, and essentially, like, he does everything, and obviously they cut this up into segments. So by no means do I think you should watch all 1 hour, 8 minutes and 31 seconds of this. But what you should do is have a look at that they have cut it down. So if you are going through HDRP and there's things that you're not quite getting right, or something's not quite right, something's not working, have a look through this video. Number one, it's from Unity. Number two, as soon as he starts this video, he goes, this is a deep dive into HDRP to understand it. And apart from having a French accent, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So he absolutely smashes it. So no, he's done. It's a really good video, better than I could ever do. But again, you know, they're only really 4 to 5 minute sections long. There's some things that are about 8, maybe about nearly 10 minutes, or just under 10 minutes. But again, I would use this almost like contents. What do they call it on the time? Just time captures.
Timestamps.
Timestamps. That's it. So just use the timestamps and just use this as almost like a book and a Bible to go, all right, boom, 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 through a contents. I'm not sure about shadows, how to control shadows, bang. And then I can watch it from there. So light, shadows.
So how do you set up the direct lighting in your scene?
I don't even
that could be your sun, the moonlight, or your artificial light.
So there we go. But definitely watch that video. That's a comprehensive, detailed look. Some settings may have changed because this is from 2020 Summit. But the settings will essentially do the same thing, even though if the UI looks a little bit different. Cool. Have I got a new Unity project? I do. Lovely. So let's go and make this big. Do I want my game like this? No, I do not. I'm going to change mine to tool, and then so I can see my gameplay. Not like that. Terrible. I can see my gameplay, and then everything's on this side as well. Cool. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane into our scene. So we've just got like a floor, and we can call this floor, and we can just scale this up a little bit. And then what you can do is, if you add a cube into your scene and then just add a material onto it, so it's just a different color, so it can be distinguished from the plane.
Will this be our player?
It's not going to be called a player, it's just going to be called a cube at the moment, because it's just essentially controlling animations.
All right.
Okay, so you've got your plane, you've got your cube. You don't need to do anything to the cube. You can even call it the name of cube. That's absolutely fine. What we're then going to do is we are going to create a empty, and we're going to call this timeline. And this is where our timeline will essentially live. So, and we can just have this, make sure it's just at 0, 0, 0. Our cube's also there, but it doesn't matter that our timeline is there. You may see some videos where they've actually add the timeline onto the objects that they're animating. It's best not to do that. what I've found a lot of the time is if you have your cube and then you have your timeline, it almost like it creates two different X, Y, and Z sort of empty object points. So you think you're animating your cube, but you've actually just animated your empty timeline. So make sure that you don't do that. So this is why I always try and keep them separate. And timeline makes sure that you don't do that as well. So when you keep it separate. But yeah, it will still work, but it can get really, really messy if you've got lots of different animation tracks in there. Okay, so what we need to do is to find timeline. We don't need to download a package or anything. It's already in here. We can go to Window, we can go to Sequencing, and we can go to Timeline. I'm just going to keep this up on the board for a little bit so you can see it. And if you are taking notes, I'll give you a bit of time just to take some notes as well. Cool, lovely. So what we need to do is to begin a new timeline with timeline, create a director component and an asset for timeline. So what we're going to do is make sure we're selected on timeline and we're going to click create. And what this want us to do is to save this somewhere. So it's almost like when you first create an animation. What I'm going to do is within my assets, I'm going to make sure I create a new folder. So click new folder and I'm just going to again call this timeline. And then I can just go dunk and open, and I'm just going to save my timeline in my timeline folder. We will go through all the controls and we're going to do some tips and tricks as well to help you. But as there's only one line of code writing here today, a lot of it's going to be me setting you challenges and you animating different things for me. Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, we've got our timeline that we've got from our timeline here. And as we can see, we've got as soon as we add timeline, we can see our timeline that looks almost like identical to animation, which is good because we know that interface, we know how to use that. And we can also see it's added the component of a playable director. Essentially, this is just how we can control things with and certain game objects within our game and what we can do with them. As you can see, we can look at wrap mode, and wrap mode allows us to loop or hold onto those animations. At the moment, we're going to have none. We're going to have a look at that a bit later if we want to sort of loop some animations or not. But what's really good about that is that you don't have to create the animation again, and it will just loop within your gameplay. Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our cube and we're going to drag this into our timeline. So you get this kind of plus symbol. And when you click and let go, it gives you 4 different options, which is really nice because Unity, doing it this way, is telling you what you can do with that certain game object. You can go up to the plus, as you can see in there in the top left-hand corner of timeline, and have more selections. But here we can click animation track. We're not going to activate anything yet. We'll do that in a minute. So we're going to just choose animation track. And as you can see, it creates the animation track and it tells us that we've got the cube, and obviously it's going to add an animator to that cube. So the functionality is still going to work the same. So if we really want to go into the bones of our animation, we can still go to animator, we can still go and delete it. And even if we click on our timeline folder, we can see that we've got a timeline here. As soon as we go and record anything, that will record a specific animation as well. So we can do that now. I'll just give you time to write that up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do like a simple loop for our cube animation. So what we can do is we can click our record, and as soon as we've clicked our record, if we click on cube to start moving it with it from the hierarchy, for example, we can see that this won't change because we're in record mode. Okay, so it allows us, otherwise it would have shown all the components of timeline still and stuff like that, but it will keep it in record here. So when practicing this or going through it, when I was thinking of the challenges to create for you, when I did the loop, and you have to let me know if this works for you, but initially I went here, and you can right click on your transform and go to add key, and that will add a keyframe. So I'll show you again. So what I've done is I've clicked on my cube, and I want this to be recording as my first position, but you can see on my timeline that it hasn't recorded anything. So what you can do is you can go to your transform on your cube, right click and go to add key, and that will add a small little keyframe. I have found that on my version of Unity, that doesn't work. But I haven't tried it on PC yet, so let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is record a key here, drag this up to, let's maybe change this timeline settings to seconds, change this to 8 seconds, and then I'm going to go again and click add key.
How did you change this? Oh, right, sorry.
Oh yeah, just go to the cog,
yeah,
and you can change it to seconds so you can see what's going on. So the reason I am, could someone tell me the reason why I've created a keyframe here at the start of 000 and then changed it at the end to 000? Why have I done that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. So I'm going to create a loop. So what I'm going to do is take this to 2 seconds now, my timeline needle, click on cube, go boom, move that up there a little bit, drag this across at 5, drag that to that position there, and then I'm going to click the record button again to stop recording. And hopefully, see, it's done it again. It doesn't do that last keyframe. It's this weird thing where it doesn't do that last keyframe. So what I'm going to do is go to here. We could probably go back to recording. Right on there. We'll click on that keyframe. And go to cube and change this to 0, 0, 0. And up a bit. Stop recording, and that should create my loop. Lovely, cool. So if I then play this through, I've only got 4 animations, and 2 of them are the same thing. So again, just a nice little loop there, playing that through. So I can always edit it.
Yeah.
Lovely, so make sure you've got a loop. So Ryan, what we've done, we've just created a standard Unity document. And if you put a plane and a cube in a scene for me, then go to Window, Sequencing, and Timeline. And we're going to, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to learn how to create cinematics. Well, hopefully we're creating some decent cinematics today.
Yeah, so I guess the way to do it really is to like not add that final key first.
Yeah, I don't know really. Just
Yeah,
for someone, it
reason,
modifies
you know,
it for some weird reason.
It should, because yeah, I mean, again, when obviously we do animation in Maya, that's how we do it exactly like that. It's like one keyframe here, especially if you're doing a looped animation anyway. Yeah, it's like one there, and it's.
So no, yeah, it's a bit funny, but yeah, well. So as we see, hopefully you've just got a simple loop like this. So that animation's a little bit slow for me. So what we can do, which is also really good with timeline, let's say I want to edit those animations. If I double click on specifically on my timeline, what it will do is it will take me straight into my animation tab. And I can drag my animation tab into here. Oh, there we go. Drag this into here. And I can edit those keyframe animations. So I can stretch this out. I can see all those keyframes of up to 8 seconds. And I can then highlight these and bring these closer together down to, let's say, 4 seconds, of half that time. There we go. So then when I press play, I've got a faster animation flowing through. So it's a nice quick shortcut to get to the animation tab there as well.
All right, updates it straight into timeline as well.
Oh yeah, it will update it straight into timeline, yeah. Cool, lovely. Okay, so how can we create different animations or multiple animations for one object? What we've got here is that we've got this animation track, okay, and it looks like we can't add anything else on. So what we need to do is if we right click on our timeline of animations and go to convert to clip track, that will take it to a segmented recorded track. What's again really nice about this, or going, I'll show you again. If we go, it's probably disappeared now. I would have to create another animation, but let me go Control Z again, Control Z, Control Z. So right click and convert to clip track. If you convert to clip track. If you want to write this down quickly. And this is a pivotal part. You won't be able to create multiple animations if you don't do this part. Cool, lovely. So we now can see that it's got that recorded part, and we can move our needle to create more multiple animations from further on. But what we can do with this, we can even click on this recorded part. And as we can see here, once we click on this recording, it's just called recorded. You can obviously name it yourself. But what's really nice about it, that I like, is that it's got a speed multiplier. From just changing the number, you can change the speed of it automatically to blend in with something else, which is really, really nice as well. So at the moment it is just at 1 because that's what it sees. Even though I've edited it in the animations, and then I created it as a clip track after, so that sees 1 or as 100%. If I change that to 0.5, this will obviously double the length of that recording, and so I'm then back to my original 8 seconds of animation. But again, instead of moving all those keyframes, trying to get it right, it's really nice just to go boom, 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 done. Really nice and easy. And again, this can be done with Mixamo animations. Okay, cool. So what I'd like you to do, what we're going to do is just after this track, so when your cube gets back to its original position, I want you to record and create a new motion or a new movement for your cube. I'll give you a couple of minutes just to record another movement with your cube. Morning, Maxine. Hello, mate.
So after you make it a picture map,
Yeah.
when I move it, it just doesn't.
Have you clicked record? Yeah. Make sure you record a new animation.
I'm a little bit confused actually.
Go on.
So, like, do I have to just like stretch this out?
Yeah,
like
just stretch that out, and then you can record as you. But it's weird. It doesn't. It's almost like automatically changing it into a clip track now.
Okay, yeah, that was what. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it will record. Don't worry about blending them together and it being so close. We can do that really nice and easy.
Yeah. Sweet.
So just record a separate animation. Don't worry about it being exactly happening after your first animation. We can blend those two together really nice and easy. So actually what we're doing is that we've just created a standard 3D Unity template. If you go to Windows, Sequencing and Timeline, we're going to use Timeline to animate a cube going along a plane because we're going to start to create cinematics for a game.
Lewis is here to speak to you.
Oh, hello. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot you were coming in. Yeah.
I only saw you briefly this morning.
Yeah, so no apologies. So
Have you got just level 6 now?
yeah, it's just level 6, yeah. So
So do you want to, if you want to chat to them, do you like Kyle to be in them or out of them?
In the spin with, but I'll chuck you out at some point.
yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I am recording this session at the moment, so let me know and then I'll make sure I'll stop the recording. So, but it's absolutely fine because they're on a task. So,
Well, whenever you want, because Lily's not ready for me either. So, how long does
It
it
could
need?
have taken you for a coffee.
we'll go and get a coffee, and I'll. There's just a couple more things I need to show them because we're just looking at cinematics, and then from there we'll. They'll be on a bigger task, and then I can stop the recording as they go through the bigger task. So
It's all right. It's him. It's the students they speak. Lewis is speaking to today.
oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
oh no, I'm aware of that.
So we come back in about. Yeah.
We'll get a coffee and come straight back up, and then it'll be cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe you haven't already got a coffee.
Well, I've had one in the car today.
Oh.
I've already had a meeting with Fran on the phone.
Oh,
I
right.
had it before my first meeting. Oh, I think I've accidentally sussed out how to blend them.
Cool, no worries.
it just happened, but yeah.
Cool, lovely. So that's Lewis from University of Hertfordshire. I forgot he was coming to see you today. But no worries. So it's good for them to turn up, isn't it? Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do is initially, so I've got my 2 animation tracks here. What we can actually do is just click and drag, and as you see, as I click and drag, they blend in together. That's really, really nice. So if I then play this, where you can see this blend is happening, you can see that it will just suddenly go, oh, hang on a minute, and then blend over there just like that. Again, if you're thinking, oh, that's a really nice blend here, but they're really sharp of how the animation stops, what you can do, if you hold Control on your keyboard and go to the edge, you can actually slide and fade your animations as well. And again, this is how we would fade our scenes in together as well when we're doing scene transitions. So remember, we hold Control to click the sides, to blend the sides, to create an easy ease effect, if you're looking for a word for it. And then we just drag in the animations together to create smoother animations. And again, yeah, I'm showing the basic principles of this, but remember, this can be done with Mixamo animations as well. So it might need to be a little bit more gentle with that instead of just mushing them in. Obviously, if you're not happy with a clip, you can just straight right click and delete it, or go Control and Z if you've done too much of a fade, or you can just do Control and bring it back, obviously. Cool. What we can also do, instead of blending them together, what we can do, say that, as you can see, well, if I move it back a bit, well, I've got this kind of infinity symbol in the middle of my clip. So it's holding for an infinite amount of time these animations. So let's say I've got these two clips together and I haven't blended them together yet. What I can do is I can right click on, it can be this clip or my next clip. So if I click on this clip here, I could go to right click and go to match offsets to next clip. Or I can go to right click, match offsets to previous clip. And what that allows us to do, if I then press play, should, well, it hasn't really done it there. Oh, it has kind of done it, sorry. So what an offset will do is meet the animation in the middle somewhere and blend them together. Even if they're in a, so let's say this animation didn't end at 0 and it ended up like all the way up here, for example. It would do a blend of halfway with where the animation begins on the second animation clip and blend those together. So it was a poor example for me, I apologise, because they both stop at 0, 0. So it doesn't look like anything's happening because nothing essentially needs to happen. But if you have two animations, so let's get rid of this clip, for example. Let's get rid of this one. Let's go record. So if I record and then let's put my initial, I'm recording, so let's just start my, let's move my cube initially. Oh, it's done. It's annoying. It's starting from there, so timeline, record. Oh, careful, I'm going to grab the timeline, I'm going to grab that, start there. So if you get this, don't worry about this, you can just extend this out and we can move that to here, move that to there, and move that to there. Cool, lovely. Again, I can stop recording, I can double click onto this, I can start my animation. So if I start my needle started here. What I'm going to do is, again, in animation, we can then delete that keyframe. And from here, we can go to record. And I'll go to cube. I'm going to start my animation from here. And go unrecord. So then my animation goes whoop, 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 like that. So if I go back to timeline, where I've then got this snapping, hopefully I should be able to go offset to a previous clip. There we go, there's that offset. So there's no snapping there anymore. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird movement, I'm not going to lie to you. because it was so far away, but it met an offset. Okay, so there we go, because they're in two different areas, so it kind of went right. So it's reading what's going to happen next.
I'm assuming if you say dragged this end of this second recording and made that infinity gap bigger, would the offset change?
Yes, I believe so. If we drag this out and then let's play.
So we did almost like try and get to that point.
So then I think the offset would be too big because then it would suddenly then. So it's still not snapping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially, it's not going to allow any snapping between those animations when you do the offset.
Yeah.
But again, it's good, but would I just blend it in like that?
Yeah.
Probably.
There was a bit of, I don't recommend changing the height to go downwards because I made a second animation where it goes down, but I set it to like 5 above it. But once it did the offset, it just so the first animation ends on the floor. The second animation starts at the top. When I did the match to offset thing, it went below.
Oh, okay. There might be things to watch out for. As I said, it might be for really kind of small different animations. If there is any kind of snapping, it kind of just it's a quick preventative for snapping of animations, as we can see here. But again, because it's got the blend mode, I thought I'd show it to you anyway. But as it's just a quick alternative of just 2 clicks, I would probably just blend them together because then you can have a lot more control over those animations. Even though there's a bit of a weird movement there, then it's okay. So, but there we go, lovely, cool. So what we can do is, let's say I'm like, I hate the end of this animation, and I go to my keyboard, highlighted this track, press S, that will slice the track. So you can slice the animation. So you can move that animation elsewhere.
Oh.
So you can do that. Control Z, lovely. Let's say I am zoomed in or let's say I'm zoomed out and I click on this track and I press F. That will focus on that track. So again, if I see all of my timeline and I want to just focus on the track I'm selected on, I press F on the keyboard, boop. And if I want to see all of it, if I want to see all of my timeline, I'll press A. There we go, and it will revert back to viewing all of the timeline. So some quick keyboard shortcuts there for you. Okay, so your first challenge. What I'd like you to do, and I'll add this to the PowerPoint as well. So your first challenge is, I want you to go into the Unity Asset Store and find a spaceship of some kind of spaceship. I'd like you to create 3 separate animations and have them seamlessly blend together. And have the animations loop as well as soon as they've finished. Okay. And once you've finished your animations and you want anything to loop, what you need to do is just go to timeline and under wrap mode, choose none to loop. Okay? And that will loop all of your animations. So if I now went into my game and press play, because I've changed that from the playable director, this should continuously loop. Snaps, which is a bit annoying, but very quickly. Cool. Let me just put this up on here as. Oh, let's get rid of that one. I'll just write this up and then I'll stop the recording as well. So add a spaceship to scene. Create 3 separate animations that seamlessly blend together. Have the spaceship loop on start of game. And how we do that is we go into our hierarchy, we go to timeline, we go to playable director, and we choose wrap mode to loop. Lovely. So what I'm going to do quickly is just stop the recording so you can carry on with this task, and then when I teach you more stuff, I'll begin the recording again. But I think Lewis will probably come and have a chat to you before that. Lovely. Okay, so that's recording my audio, and this is recording my video. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my light bulb initially to my timeline. I'm going to put that as an activation track, and I'm going to put this down to like 1 second. And there's a reason I'm going to do that. So this is almost like a gameplay element, and I've added gameplay elements to the list of what timeline can be used for as well, because I want to be, for argument's sake, I want to play my game and my light just be normal. And then when I press the key, that animation process will happen. So you'll learn how to add it in as a process of, as an actual gameplay element without any coding apart from like 1 line or 2 lines. So I'm going to duplicate this light bulb. So Control D. So I've got a duplicate of my light bulb, and I'm going to put the duplicate of this light bulb into my timeline, so it's parented in there. Okay. And now on my timeline, I've got light bulb 1, and I'm going to my light bulb, and I'm going to add in light bulb 1 as an activation track. And actually, I might see if I can be cheeky and see if I can actually just take the point light from that and add that instead. Cool, lovely. So, oh, actually, do I need both? Yes, I will need both. So I've got my point lights, and I'm going to add another activation track, and this is going to be my actual light bulb. So at the moment, that's not doing anything. We've got a little less light there because we're unactive. So point light bulb there. And then I'm going to start the flickering at this point. So I'm going to go dunk, 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 dunk. And scroll in a little bit. Control C. Oh. Start it there. So there we go. Nice little flicker. And then paste, and then paste. Cool, that's not too bad. I can press A to see my whole scene. So I've got these little flickers, boom. Lovely, so my light is dead, lovely. So I could got my point light and it's flickering, ding, 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 dead. Cool, lovely. First job done. Cool, right, what am I doing next? So this light bulb then goes dead. I then want my sound to happen, so I'm going to drag in my sound, dunk, and then it's going to happen like there. I don't know if I've got any sound on this. Oh, there we go. Very quiet, but I can boost this up. So Flicking. There we go. So then my light breaks. Fantastic. Very crude, but it works very, very well. Actually, I might just keep that until 5 seconds of that there. Lovely. Cool. Right. That was one with my light, wasn't it? And then I want that. That's going to flicker. Just thinking at the end of it, I want that to remain. Let me think about this. So, flicker, break. Lovely. 2 series and a point light. So that's active. That's active. Active light. Flickering. Dead. Then I want that to remain. Oh, that should be okay. I'll deal with that for now. Cool. So what I have done is if I play this through, we can see that these are all disabled, but my first light bulb is all enabled. So what I can do is if I go to here and go to disable my timeline, I can then activate this timeline via a script, okay? So if I go to, just for example, I'm going to create an empty object, call this game manager. And this could be on a player or anything. This could be our player. Add a script, type bulb, new script, create and add. Lovely. So double click on bulb. Lovely, nice and big. So first thing I need is my public, and it's just a game object. So I just need a game object, and I'm going to call this my timeline. Lovely. So if I then save that, initially go back into Unity, my game manager will ask me for my timeline, which I'm going to drag in there. Lovely. Cool. So then once I've done that, in my script, in update, start can go away. In update, I can say if input dot get key down is then going to be key code dot k. Did I say k? I said k. And then do weird brackets that are not meant to be there like that. There we go. I can then say my timeline set active, but I'm going to say true instead of false. There we go. So my timeline will only begin when I press it. Okay. So I'll save that very quickly. Make you have a look at that. This is also a recording, so you can also get it from the recording. I'm going to take a photo of that quickly. Cool, no worries. Cool, lovely. So once we do that, we're going to save this, jump back into Unity. Cool, I'm guessing that read it. So now if I play my game, you can't actually, oh, okay, so that's very interesting. Cool, so there is a bit of an error here because my initial light bulb is not showing and it should be. So let's have a look at that issue there.
Mine just continues to play. Like, even with the script. What did you attach the script to?
What do you mean?
Like, where did this, like...
My script is just attached to a empty game object.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. So let's have a look what I've done. So my light bulb is active here. Let's have a look at my game view. It's interesting that my light bulb's not active. Am I just looking at the wrong thing? Right, let's have a look what's happened. It's physically there within my scene, but not in my game view. Cool, right. That's now grayed out as well. What's happening here? Need to be, that should still work. Cool, so that then should replace that, because that is outside of there, and that's then being replaced with that light bulb. That's fine, that's good, that's what we want. So why? So you can see as I scroll through, that's working. So I want to, it's going to be disabled initially. Game manager's there, that holding. Let's have a look at this very, very quickly. I want to know why that's not popping up. So let's press, I'm in my game, I'm going to press K. Cool, so it works, but it's not showing my light bulb.
Mine does not work.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, mine just automatically plays the timeline.
Okay, so remember the timeline needs to be disabled initially. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So my light bulb is here. This light bulb is that light bulb.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not in my game scene, so something is. Unity is having a right bother with this, isn't it? So let's change this around. Let's have this active for a little bit. Oops. Because it's out of here. So it's not going to work while that's off. Cool, right, so. Interesting, that doesn't want to work.
Got it.
Go on.
No, it was working. I just had a flickering light on another timeline.
Okay.
Just caught me off guard.
I might have done something to a timeline sphere because I've got no sphere in my timeline at all. So I'm going to have a look at my other timelines. Timeline 2, def to you. Let's just see if that's corrupted. No. Let's move this light bulb. Oh, it is there. Sorry, it's just too high in my camera view. What an idiot. Sorry. Okay, right, let's go. Camera. Game object. Align with view. There we go. Oh, thought I was going insane. Well, I am going insane, but not that insane. So, right, this should work. So if I press play on my game, so nothing should happen, okay? Well, as you can see, it's all disabled. I've got my light that's in my horror game. Go up to the trigger with my little light switch. We can press K to press on light. So my first person player walks up to my light, presses the light bulb. There we go, fantastic, cool. That's how it works. Sorry, I just couldn't see the light bulb in my view and I was going purely insane. So there we go, that's how we can make it work. And what's made it work is that I had a light bulb that was outside of my timeline and a light bulb inside my timeline. So we did the old switcheroo, okay? And we can do that with lots of different things. And obviously we don't need to worry about the flickering or coding the flickering. because it's all already done within timelines. So we can create small gameplay elements. You can create your own one to have a little bit more of a practice, but again, what the main feature is here is that I have, if I come out of play, is that I have a light bulb that's outside of my timeline, and everything in my timeline I can disable, and then it won't be enabled. So no animation will be enabled. It won't play automatically if it's disabled. Okay, but until I press K to enable it, then we can have gameplay elements like that. Okay, cool. Have a practice, have a look what I've done here, because it is a bit of like to get your head around. But again, if I press play, or actually what I can do is make it big, maximize and big, doodaloo. So I need to save it apparently. Timeline window has unsaved changes. So cool. So there we go. Walking around in my horror game, try la la la. Press K on the lights to manage. Cool. Lovely. Fantastic. So that will swap out my light. Cool. Is everyone okay with that? Again, with the audio elements, if I zoom into my audio, I can see that my track doesn't actually start until a fair bit in. But what we can do is we can always go. There we go. We can fade it in. So if there is any kind of like dead air or anything like that, it could just make it sound a little bit better. A to view all. A to view. This isn't working today. Maybe turn it on. A to view all. Cool. My A button's not working the time on. Oh, there it goes. It's decided to work again now. There we go. Doodaloo. Lovely. Cool. And we can even fade out the ends as well. And you can, if you click on that audio track, you have your own audio edits that you can do. You've got a volume of 1. You can also put that down. You can loop it. We can also loop the animation if you wanted to as well. Because it's a gameplay element, we only want it to work with the key of E. So nice and easy. Cool. Have a think of other elements and things that we can do with. Obviously, I've said about the chest, or from Zelda. There's probably about 15,000 million different cutscenes that activate things or resources that you could get and stuff like that as well. We will work towards the chest opening animations. We'll work with it with a trigger. So we'll create a third-person character, walk up to the trigger, it'll go tra-la-la-la, and then you can get an item out of the chest or something like that. So, but again, it can be used for loads of different things. Again, Ryan, I know for your initial idea, you wanted to have this kind of view. Timeline's going to be perfect for that, of taking the player through. Then you can have like a movable camera just attached to this cylinder or something that's just going through this kind of tour. Which is really nice, almost like a Pokemon Snap kind of thing, which is really nice. So again, that's how Pokemon Snap's made, that's how Star Fox is made, it's how a lot of Endless Runners are made as well, using Timeline now. So, but no, yeah, it's really cool. Wicked. Is there any questions about this, or anyone's got any like scratching their head about it?
I've got a random question.
Random question. Nothing to do with this course.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
got an email